Hello there everybody and welcome to a vlog. I know it's been a while. I normally go for just the audio based vlogs basically because my webcam is shit. So I'm shooting this on my phone. But yeah, today we're doing the YouTube survey of 2013. So let's get on with it and let's get it done. Question 1 coming right up. What is your biggest fear? Quite a tough one, this question, really. Tough one to answer anyway. I mean, it's sort of two-step, really. There's a sort of two-step policy that needs to be played in on this one. I'll do a sort of a low-grade one and then a big one, because obviously a physical fear is a tough one to describe. But I suppose on a sort of a small basis, you know, some are scared of spiders. I can't stand dogs. Never have been able to. Ever since at my nan's place as a child, I went to return a frisbee that had come over our fence to the house next door, owned by what is now socially acceptable to be described as the Chav family. At the time, there wasn't really a descriptive term. So yeah, I went to and to give you an example of how dangerous the animal they had in their house was, they would go out, leave their front door wide open, so you could see into their house from the park across the street, and leave the dog in the kitchen, just sat looking out the front door like the most angry of fucking creatures ever. Alsatian as well, so you tell me, you know, couldn't be more aggressive unless it was a pit bull. And I walk to the door and I sort of reach in and I knock the door, and as I step one foot on the front doorstep, the dog stands up, it growls, and then it runs at me like a police dog tackling show. So of course I shit myself and fucking run for the hills. It only stopped chasing me when I slammed the door on its head. Well, slammed the door, caught it, and I think just about missed getting its head caught in the door of my nan's house, which was next door. So yeah, since then I've had a problem with dogs, and I don't think anybody can say otherwise as to why that's a bad thing. I am trying to fight my fear by involving myself with smaller dogs, but I can't. I'll cross the road to avoid big dogs. So dogs. Now, as for a slightly bigger and more psychoanalytic fear, I have the fear of dying alone. Because I've always been surrounded by people. I've always been surrounded by a relatively large family. I've got family parties, extended family, and I've always had that. I've always had that fear of being the only one there when I take my final breath. So I suppose there's your one for your psychoanalytical stuff. So yeah, dogs and dying alone. Question 2, coming right up. How did you find out that Santa wasn't real? I'm not sure, to be honest, about this one. I mean, I've only really got a few memories from when I was a kid. I mean, my memories are so shit. I honestly can't remember things that happened a few weeks ago. So I don't know why my memory's so shit, but it always has been quite shit. So the only real memory I've got is the day I got my Nintendo 64. So I'll tell you guys about that one, and hopefully, the situation always was that we had little stockings. We didn't have them on the mantelpiece. They were just some really old sort of like knee-height socks, which when I was a small kid was quite a big thing, you know. And we used to have them at the end of our bed, and we also had these cotton pillowcases that were branded up as Santa sacks. Basically because the stockings were shite and So we always used to have them at the base of the bed, and you always knew that they were full, because obviously you used to sleep with your feet underneath the sack. So when you woke up and there was weight on your feet, or you woke up and your feet had moved, you knew that there was something in them. So the one morning, the sacks were empty, or at least mine was, and there was a note attached to the empty sack. So obviously I was going crazy. The Santa person hasn't been, and all that shit. And then you, yeah, thank you, Peter. Then the note said that I should speak to my dad, which I did. And in the spare bedroom, which is now the office at our house, where I record all my YouTube videos, there was a Nintendo 64 set up with Mario Kart 64 on it. Yeah, so I suppose that was probably your first hint that Santa was either not real, was your parent, or was corroborating with your parent. But I don't actually remember ever finding out, ever being told or ever catching anybody out or anything. So it's a difficult one, really, because I never really found out for sure that, found out absolutely, but I mean, never really caught anyone at it. It's not like my dad dresses up as Santa or anything like that. So, difficult one, really, because I don't really have an answer for it. But I hope that little story does the job. Question 3, coming right up. What is the best idea you have ever had? The best idea I've ever had? Well, now then. Honestly, I think it's doing this sort of stuff. I mean, I genuinely am pleased with the fact that how much fun I have making these videos, and it's really enriched my life. So I think honestly it's going into YouTube now. I suppose that wasn't really my idea. I didn't really have the idea. That was the idea of Wayne, and I just followed through with it. But I think it's a great idea, and it's something anybody. I think everybody should at least try. Everybody should at least try. I mean, I could have said going into radio, but I'm going to talk about that in question 5. So yeah, I think going into YouTube videos is one of the best things I ever did, and I'm putting that down as the answer to this question. So question 4, coming right up. What is the most embarrassing thing your parents have ever done? Once again, we find ourselves looking at one that I don't really have an answer for. But I guess, see, my parents were very understated when I was growing up, so difficult one really. But again, I don't really have an answer for it. I mean, apart from I suppose I'll tell a story to settle the need. There's one story I've got which my mother hates, and she'll hate the fact that I'm telling this, but she hates the fact that when I was a kid we went to Legoland Windsor, and when I was a kid, and yeah, I've been locked in the conservatory. Went to Legoland Windsor, and obviously I did all that driving license stuff, played all sorts of different rides, went on all sorts of different rides at Windsor. And then there was the what we thought was a castle tour thing, like a little sort of inside the castle, sort of walking around, going in, having a look, looking in different rooms. Yeah, it was a roller coaster, and it went upside down a lot, loop-de-loops, all that sort of crazy shit. I was probably 10 at the time, and yeah, Mum went on that with me, and she wasn't too pleased, to say the least, that she'd ended up on a roller coaster, dizzy for hours. Yeah, it was one of those ones. So yeah, I suppose that's the closest thing I've got to an answer for this question. Yeah, I guess that'll do. Question 5 coming right up. If you had to pick one career that you would have to stick with for the rest of your life, what career would you choose and why? Tough one once again as to what kind of career I'd go into, but because I haven't really had a career, so I can't really say, oh, I'd do this that I've done before, because I haven't really ever had a career. But anything media related, honestly, if I could do this as a career, I bloody well would. If I could make videos, I would. But honestly, if I had to absolutely pick a career, and honestly, I think I would still go into the radio industry. Even though I've been a bit blackballed of late. Either that or video production, something along those lines, because I really do think that's something that I could absolutely sink my teeth into, and could do, yeah. So I think if I absolutely had to pick a career to go into permanently, it'd be something media related, without a doubt. So yeah, this has been the 5-question answer session. Now it leaves me to pick people. It's not a tag game, if anybody can answer these questions if they want to. But I'm picking people to answer this. I think Craig should answer it. That's Craig from iCraig's Vlogs. I'm also putting forward Wayne from Let's Play Cat Gaming. And I'm also putting forward for this Mrs. Exile of Pair of Exiles fame. So those are the 3 people who I would quite like to see answer these questions. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, and goodbye.